So, good evening, Kim, Carol, Sue, Emma, Tricia, Carol, Francis, Betsy. I think I've got everybody. Saba, Sharon. Yeah, you got me. Brilliant. Welcome to our new members as well. Do make yourself known to the group so everybody can say hello to you. It is a lovely, lovely group of people. So tonight is a little bit of a follow-on from Create and Craft, because I promised people that I would do a demonstration on some of the items that I actually had. What's the word I'm thinking of? Some of the display pieces that I had. So I said that I would do some demonstrations. Hello Annette, hello Chris, lovely to have you join. Emma's really happy to be here for the first time. It's lovely to have you. So this is super simple, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And brains ticking over this afternoon, I'm thinking, well, what other things can we do with this? Can we make some variations on a theme? And so I've got some other ideas in the bag as well. Now, I had everything all set up, so I'm just going to make sure that my camera, sorry, I don't normally like it to be that close. That's a little bit scarily close. Whoops. There we go. Hello, Jackie. So as you can see, we have got jump rings in between. Now this does work with other beads as well. You don't have to use the crystal rondelles, but I do think they look rather lovely with the rondelles. So you're going to need a clasp. You're going to need some crimp beads, which if you've never worked with crimp beads before, they are basically circular things that you squeeze to secure everything in place. So you'll need a chain nose pliers, some side cutters, and you will need 2 pliers if you need to secure your jump rings. So these are jump rings that some of them may already be closed. You can use soldered jump rings for these or open ones. And tigertail, which is just a form of beading thread. So we're going to start off with just a simple bracelet like this, and then we're going to have a look at some other bits and pieces afterwards, see what else we can do with it. So we're going to cut 2 lengths. I would make sure that you add on an extra 3 inches either side of the length of the bracelet. We're going to do it double. Do you know what you could have actually done? You could either have 2 lengths, or you could have 1 length and halve it. That might be easier. Let me try it that way. Sorry, brain is ticking. Let's try that way first of all. So we've got double length, which add another sort of 4 inches on from your total length. Pop it through the end of your clasp, bring both ends together, and then we're going to pop a crimp bead on. So I'm going to pop both through. Now the crimp bead size I'm working with is 2mm. It is, no question is a silly question, Emma, because the chances are as well that other people are thinking exactly the same thing as you. So please do ask away. Now Emma is saying, what does 2 lengths mean? What I mean by 2 lengths is, so for example, if your wrist size is 8 inches, it would be 2 lengths of 8 inches, so 16. And you need some workable extra as well, so I'd add another 4 inches onto that as well. So hopefully that clarifies it, but if it doesn't, do let me know. Hello Linda. So I've popped that through, so that's the middle point, and I'm going to actually squeeze that crimp bead on. I'll just bring it up to the camera a little bit more. Okay, so you need to make sure that's fully secure and that's all in place. You're very welcome. Now I'm going to use some blues. Take this crimp bead off so that I can reuse the strand that it's on. So we're going to use some, let's just push this up a little bit, pale blue and dark blue. Now the size of the jump rings, gosh, I can't remember what size they are. I think these are 7mm. Now I've got a top tip for you. If you're working with two colours, it can get a little bit annoying to think, well, actually, what colour is that strand, rather than having to put it down all the time. So if you've got some permanent marker pens, I am going to mark which one is going to be the darker one. So that one, I'm just going to colour in the end of my tiger tail. Hopefully I'll be able to tell the difference. You probably can't even see it. And the other one will be the lighter one. I'm just colouring it on a bit of paper. So I don't even think that you can see it, but if you can have a colour the end in a similar colour to the bead that you're working on, so that when you're threading you don't have to keep putting everything down to work out which bead is next. Hopefully it'll all become clear. Now I'm actually using open jump rings, Sue, but you can use closed ones as well. Now for the first one, I'm going to bring both of my ends together and pop on one bead like so. Hello Joan, thank you for joining. Right, so that's my darker one. So you bring both together, and after every bead we're going to add a jump ring like so. So pop both ends through that jump ring. Now we're going to separate our threads and we're going to alternate the beads on each side. So the next colour, we're going to go for a lighter blue. So I'm going on the lighter blue coloured end. So I'm going to add that on and then bring both together and pop those through a jump ring and shimmy that up. So the next one we want is a dark blue one, which, if I've got it correct, is that one, and you just pop that on one side. Now what I want to talk to you about as we're going as well is the size of the jump rings. Now if they're too big, they don't work very well. If they're too small against the size of the beads, they're not very effective either. So that's what we need to have a little look at, which is why I've got some samples for you after. So let's just take a pause just to show you where we're at. So we have crimped our tiger tail on. We've got one bead at the start that has got both threads going through it. Then we add a jump ring with both threads each time with the jump ring. On one side we've got the lighter bead, on the other is the darker, and in between each one is a jump ring. And because of the size of the jump ring we've got, it makes a nice little slant in between. So bringing both ends together and threading that on. And then this time we're going for a dark one. Now you can do the same colour all the way through, or you could do two colours, you could do more colours if you want to. So bringing both ends together and threading that on. Hello Lydia. Okay, all right so far. But do you see what I mean about colouring the ends? Now, I haven't used a very good example because my colours are a bit too close to actually even tell on the ends. But if you've got two different colours that are quite distinguishable by colouring the ends, it really makes life a lot quicker for you. So you just thread on one side, then you bring both ends together. Now I will show you in a moment as well, if you've bought a pack of jump rings and they're all open and you need to close them, I will show you how to do that just in case it's something you've not done before. But isn't that coming together really lovely? You can actually do this in a necklace as well. Just carry on exactly the same way, just make it a longer length. And I've got some examples to show you with using 4mm bicones and looking at, you know, what sort of size beads can you work with. If you work with 4mm bicones, what size jump rings do you want to work with? So that's what we're going to look at after as well. We're also going to look at combining just a little decoration like plain beads in between. But isn't that lovely? So obviously the bigger the jump rings, the more bent you get the actual wave with them. But if they're too big, you don't get any distinguishing sort of movement there either. Hi Jane, sorry to hear you've been to a funeral. It's lovely to have you, and no, you haven't missed much. It does look really lovely, doesn't it? And I think it's not complicated. I did try it with gemstone chips. I don't think there's enough uniformity with the gemstone chips. However, I have come up with a design where you can incorporate some gemstone chips. You can always use 6 or 8mm gemstones if you want to. That would make a super bracelet. The other thing you could do, now in the auction I sold some coloured jump rings. I have got a stash that I need to put online. But that's the other thing you could do, is you could always have some coloured jump rings, or if you want to make your own jump rings, you could use coloured wire in between to accentuate the actual colours of the beads. That's the other thing you could do. Now I'm going to make a smaller bracelet, really to give you an idea. Do I need to make a smaller bracelet? My indecision is final. It is really effective, isn't it? Ah, there you go, Sue. So Sue got some coloured ones in the auction, and I just think the coloured ones are beautiful. And if you haven't quite got enough coloured ones in your stash for a bracelet, then make sure you keep watching, because I'll show you a design that you can incorporate so that it's not all jump rings. I was going to cut this short, but in terms of just do a diddy one, but to be honest, it doesn't take that long, and we've still got plenty of time to do the other bits. Now my next auction is the first Thursday in March. I have got lots of lovely stock on order, which will be here by then. I've got some cabochons, I've got some gemstones, I've got some glass beads. It might not be quite as full an auction this time, but it was quite a long time, the auction, so we'll probably, I say it'll be shorter, we just never know, do we? But we're going to try and keep it nice and swift, the next auction. It is really effective, isn't it? So there you go, we'll keep going with that. But what we also like to do, for those of you that are new to the group, we love bouncing ideas around with each other to think of really a little bit of outside the box. Is what other things can we do with this design? So if there's anything you can think of at all as we're going, do let me know. Now, one of the things I can think of is that you could actually do this with macrame thread as well. You just need to make sure that the thread was small enough to fit onto the beads, or for the beads to fit onto, I should say. And you could just tie a knot at the start and do a macrame band at the back. That'd be nice. I'll have to try it and share a pic. So there we go, that's coming along really nicely. Now you can also do it as a stretch bracelet. I am not gonna lie, stretch bracelets are meant to be really easy. This was not really very easy. Yeah, not easy at all. It was just, I found it really fiddly getting, because you've got obviously two ends of elastic. Yeah, it was difficult to get the tension, and not the easiest thing, but if you are happy to persevere, then that is still something that's possible. Now, Emma thought that this was a wire wrap. See, it's really difficult to tell what it is, and it's not as difficult as it looks. And like I say, you can still just have it in one colour. The other thing you could do as well, I'm just thinking out loud as I'm going, is you could try double jump rings. Hello, Jay. So Sharon is thinking you could do elastic if you do the method where you loop at the end to start. Yeah, not sure how that would work, but give it a go, and be sure to share it with us as well in our beaders group. The other thing I've done with this design before is I have used buttons as a fastening. That was rather nice. So it's coming along nice and quickly. Could even have it as a headband, where you could possibly have this part going across the head and maybe some elastic underneath. Or if you get something from Claire's Accessories, you can buy these like elasticated thin headbands. You could always stitch that on to the top part as well. That would be quite a cute little bridesmaid thing, something like that. I just need to double check the length. Now Trisha is saying maybe different size beads, jump rings start small, larger in the middle, then small again. Absolutely, and I've actually got a design that does kind of bear that in mind. that I'll show you. An anklet, yes, absolutely. Right, not too much more to do now. You can always add an extender clasp onto this, so that particularly if you're selling these, that it's not one size fits all. I think extender clasps are a great idea. Absolutely, Trisha, great minds think alike. A belt, yes, and especially if you are a seamstress, this, wouldn't that be lush? And you could even use this element as a little clip. You'd probably custom make it, wouldn't you, if it was for yourself? Let's just put another one. It doesn't matter which colour you finish on. I think it looks, personally I think it looks better if you get it to match the other end, but you know, the choice is yours. So when you come to finish, end on one where you've got the 2 through 1 hole, if that makes sense. Okay, and then we're just going to reverse the process. Yes, a spectacles chain, absolutely. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? Now I did have an extender. Here we go again, I'm losing everything. Anyway, we'll pop, let's pop a crimp bead on. So your 2mm crimp bead should fit. Now I said about jump rings. Now if you've never done jump rings before, they have a slit in them. So have the slit at 12 o'clock. So obviously if they were open like that, have them at 12 o'clock, and then with 2 pliers just push it over and pull it back, and then just squeeze. And if you've got some open jump rings, you know, you could use those, they'd be so much quicker. Now I would generally probably have an extender on, but I'm not quite sure what I've done with the extender for the silver. So you've got enough give on this for that to go back through the tiger tail. Now it takes a little bit of working. I'm going to hold on to the end there to make sure that you get the tension right. So do take your time and just make sure that when you're pulling it through that you're not near the slit of the jump ring, because that will just create a few extra problems for you when it pulls through. So once you've done that, you're comfortable with the tension, squeeze that crimp bead. Now don't cut through all strands, just those 2 tails, and there you go, you've got your pretty little bracelet. And it's super sparkly. So there you go. Let's just have a look and see what else. You could clip it onto a zip fastener. That would be nice. That would be really nice. Okay, let's show you some other samples. Now, the other thing I did at Create and Craft was the crimping chain. And what I did on the crimping chain is I had 2 of the crimping chains and just alternated it like we would as if it was tiger tail. And obviously over the weeks I'll show you how you actually finish off that crimping chain as well. So that's one option. Okay, now the other option, which Trisha also mentioned, was about having different sizes. Now these are 4mm bicones, and I've got really tiny jump rings. I think they're 4mm, which work better because if you had them too large they'll just slip straight over. the bead itself. So as you can see, it's not quite as exaggerated, but what in terms of the curve, I don't know though, it just gives a different dimension. And then what I've done is I've added a jump ring, then I've put 4 black crystal rondelles on. So I'm going to show you how I do that one. So the start is exactly the same. So we've got some 4mm, we've got lots of 4mm bicones in the thread at the moment. Where are the jump rings? There we are, I've got plenty of those. Fortunately, most of these look like they're closed already. So I'd add my 4 and then bring both together and add your jump ring. Then just rotate, add in a bicone, bring them together, add a jump ring, pop the bicone on the opposite side, then, oh, the size beads, thank you for asking that. They are, I'm pretty sure they are 6mm by 4mm crystal rondelles. You could also, you can use any size really, you just need to make sure when you're experimenting with it that the jump rings work okay. That the jump rings don't slot over the bead, or that they don't sort of disappear, so to speak. So there's no hard and fast rules. It's all about experimenting using the same technique. The blue one was 6 by 4 crystal rondelles, and the one on the necklace was the same size. So what side are we on now? We're on that side. It's also a really good way of using up some of the beads in your stash. Oh, why am I adding so many on? 2, 4, 5, 6. It's going to add a ring. And then we are going to add on 4 of the rondelles. Now, if you've never come across, you know, if you're quite new to beading, rondelles and bicones, they are literally just the name of the style of bead. So a bicone are these, they're like sort of pointed edges. The rondelles look like they've been squashed. So don't worry too much if you're not familiar with the terminology of it. But there you go, isn't that cute? So you've got no jump rings on these here, but you've got jump rings in between. So as you can see, you know, it still works really beautifully with just little jump rings. Actually, shall I finish that off? Let's finish that off, because we've got still plenty of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because it's good to recap, isn't it? I can just show you how to finish that off. And you know, if you are doing a craft store, or perhaps you've got a shop on Folksy or Etsy, which is the British, Folksy is the British handmade site, Etsy is more of the worldwide site, is perhaps you're trying to fill your shop up, but you haven't got the time to be doing loads of sewing. You know, if you're a bead weaver and you use needle and thread, or bead embroidery, you know, you can still have your pop out things in terms of, you know, your more exclusive things, but these make these perhaps your lower priced items and your bread and butter. Don't, you know, obviously sell yourself short, but I'm just thinking for speed, they're a lot quicker than perhaps other types of jewellery making. And absolutely, Linda, you can do this with pearls too. I think pearls would be gorgeous, and you could have a lovely, lovely blend of colours. Right, so 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, and then on the last one, I think that'll be about the right size. So on the last one, bring both ends together, add that on, that bead on. Now we want a bigger jump ring. Pop yourself a crimp bead on. Crimp bead, pop all of them on there. You're not to know, Emma. It could well be a type of, but it really is a lovely site, folksy. It's just unfortunately it's not as well known. It's where I sell my jewellery on there, and it doesn't, you know, you can't just pop your jewellery on there and think it's going to sell. I'm not going to lie. I do a lot of participating in the forums on there. Now that's what happens when it comes through the slit on the jump ring. So it's not a bad thing that happened. Yeah, you really need to, but it's like anything, it doesn't come to you. You've got to really put yourself out there, which we don't always find easy, do we? It's not always easy. Not always easy to find the time either. And it's always, how many of you find that, you know, when you've got craft stores or you've got a shop, it's the things that you don't always expect to sell. You know, it can be quite bizarre really, but you know, you've got to sell what sells, haven't you? Hello Dorothy, lovely to have you join. Hello Maxine, lovely to have you join too. Right, let's just squeeze that and let's cut that excess off. So that's bracelet number 2, and I like the pattern of that. I like the way it's just happened by accident actually, the fact that you've got these in the middle. Now as you can see, there's a slight gap here, so when you've got more time, don't rush like I am. Just take your time to make sure there's no huge gaps in between. Absolutely, Kim. When it's craft fairs, it's always unexpected pieces. And you know, I used to have these battery operated lights, and it used to really drive me insane, because people would say, how much for your lights? And you'd think, well, is it not obvious that I'm a jewellery store? You know, I was seriously contemplating, you know, going into selling lights. Ah dear, people do make you laugh. When selling jewellery, what insurance is best to go with? Best bet, Emma, is pop that question in our beaders group, Beaders of Beads by Vachil, and I'm sure you'll get some people suggesting places that you could go to get that. But we did actually cover that in one of our group live chats, didn't we, Kim? I think, where myself and our lovely team, Kim, Linda and Francis, we all come and have a little banter. Right, all happy with that? We'll have a quick look at one more thing. Let's pop that to one side. Oh, no need to apologise. It's a perfectly good question, and I'm sure other people would probably like to strike up that conversation as well. So this is a bag charm or a key ring. So these are actually available in the thread as well, and I put these on earlier. Now, as you can see, I think you can see there's 3 holes in that, but I've just ignored those extra 2 at the side and just used the middle one, and this side I've got 1 at the bottom. So what I did was I attached the tiger tail, did my little wavy thing, and then I separated the strands and put some gemstone chips on the bottom. Now I think I have enough time to show you how to do that, if you'd like us to. Me to, rather. Oh, I'll just get some bits together in the presumption that you'd quite like to see it. We did cover it. I thought so. Do you know what? I can't even remember which one it is, but I'll see if I can find the live. But it's definitely something. Yes, cool. You'd like to see that. So that is that on its own. There's just a focal point. You could just attach that straight to the top if you want to. So let's start first of all. Now I don't know what I did with my crimp beads, but it's a good thing in a way because I can show you the different types of crimp beads. Now I personally don't like these very much because I think when they're on necklaces they're tubular ones as opposed to the like sort of flat round ones. I prefer these, the silvery coloured, the shape of the silver ones. Anyway, I don't know where I've put my gold ones, so this will have to do for now. But I find that they scratch the skin a little bit, you know, with your jewellery. But for this purpose, it's okay, and you might like them. One just before Christmas, Kim. Okay, thank you for that. So I've cut the tiger tail. Again, whatever length you decide to have it, plus a couple of inches, and bring both ends together and pop on a crimp bead and squeeze that. Hello, Mandy. So that's that. Now I've got some, these are finer coloured jump rings. Not finer coloured, sorry, they're finer in thickness. So 2, 4, 6, 7 of those. So the first one, we start off by bringing both ends together and 1 crystal together. Now you want to make sure obviously your jump rings are okay. I'm just going straight for it. Pop it on one side, your crystal, bring both ends together, pop your jump ring on. And then we just alternate it like we did before. The other thing that got me thinking about this as well is the fact that you could use connectors. Now these are connectors that are basically, they are, I suppose, pretty sort of they're not beads, but they're focal pieces that connect your jewellery in one way or another. And you can actually have this as a middle part of your bracelet if you just used sort of the 2 middle holes, or if you've got something similar. I'll show you, I'll try and explain in a second what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, at the start, I popped one crystal through both ends, but I'm not going to do that on the last one because I actually want both of those kept separate. And I just have some decorative little gold beads to pop on there. So what I'm saying with this is that if you had it as a bracelet, so if you've got a connector that you've got loops either side, you could have that in the middle and actually attach the clasp one end and the loop the other. So that was the other thought, is you could do it that way as well. Hope that makes sense. Oh, you are so organised. Frances said that it was the 15th of November, she found it in her notes, that we did the live that covers about insurance. So we've got these decorative little gold things on the end, just like little gold beads, and I'm going to do some citrine. So this is a former gemstone chip. It's not ordinarily something I'd wear, which I think is, with the bag charms, it's a wonderful opportunity to actually have something that you love that possibly isn't your colour. Citrine is definitely not mine, but I do love it. And if you are a sewer, you could always, if you're selling bags, for example, or perhaps you've got some little cosmetic bags as well that you want to have something decorative on there, this is a really nice touch to put on there. Also another way of finishing up your beads, you know, if you've not got a huge lot left. So I've popped that on the end, the little bead and a crimp bead. I'm squeezing the crimp bead. Also, if you've ever heard of crimp covers, you could also put crimp cover on that. That's just like a an open style bead whereby you can cover up the crimp bead if you don't like seeing the crimp. Sue's saying that she likes the idea of having a focal piece. Yes, me too. And it just shows you again the endless possibilities with doing a really simple design that probably looks like you spent hours doing it. Also, you know, if somebody uses gemstones for healing, if that's the sort of thing that they like, you could also attach the healing properties, the details, the healing properties there. Yes, that would be nice, Kim. Having a bead embroidery piece with the design coming off, that would be lush, wouldn't it? So we just finish that off. Nice for gifts as well. So that's that element of it. Do you know, the other thing that I've just thought of as well is with the bracelet, you could always incorporate your chips that way. So you could always have double either side of the chips, or just bring one single strand together and have the chips and then incorporate this bit again. So that's just to give me another idea. Now we will attach this heart at the top, little jump ring for that. Oh, it would make a nice sun catcher. So I'm going in the middle one and popping that on and just returning that back. Now if you're a bit worried that possibly your jump ring might be a bit too fine, then you could always add 2 jump rings on there if you're worried about the stability of it. So there we go. Trying to get all of that in on the screen. I do love the citrine against the gold, isn't it gorgeous? Love that. So let's just go on the back off the overhead. I'm very tonight, aren't I? I do apologise. I think I left my brain in Peterborough. I'm a little bit frazzled after doing all of those orders. Francis said, gotta go, feel an anklet coming on, thanks Emma for the idea. See, isn't that lovely? Is the fact that we can just bounce ideas and get your creative juices going. So I do hope you've enjoyed it. Do not forget to share your makes in our Beaders of Beads by Vachil. Now Linda very kindly shared the link. Linda is one of our team that runs the group over there. Oh, excuse me. So every month the 4 of us meet online and we choose winners as well. So we have winner of the month for mixed media, winner of the month jewellery make, and we also have a giveaway winner. So we have one sort of overall winner that I choose as well. So do be sure to hop on over there. Take care. I will see you on Sunday just to bring you the latest news and info, and I'll see you very soon.